How's it going, everybody? This is the Figuring It Out Finance Podcast, episode number 23, recording on Friday, May 31st. So why that date is important, and before we get into it, I am your host, Chris Rickenbaugh, but before we get into it, why that date is important, I am just getting back from the closing table on buying my first flip. So I did a live-in renovation on my first property, but that was a personal bought house to be able to live in, rent out the other side. So this is my first one that I'm going to be able to do like a real flip. So getting into the story and getting into a little bit of the numbers, how I found it, what I purchased it for, and what the plans are on the house. So I don't even have a screen in front of me to take notes, so this is just going to be straight numbers and coming out of my brain. So how did I find this property? It's a small 2-bed, 1-bath, 930 square foot, and I was just doing some of the expired listing calls on Zillow, or not on Zillow, but and then I got an email from Zillow, and I saw this property. I'm like, I don't know. It looks interesting. I might as well check it out. So I drove by it. I'm like, well, the outside looks pretty good here. Windows look pretty new. I'm like, let's just go ahead and get the underwriting done for the hard money lender and get my agent on it so we can put in an offer. So we put in an offer that night at 140. They countered at 144, and we settled on 144. And then we're like, all right, we got 10 days to close. So the way the hard money lender works, or the one we worked with, is Lone Mountain here in North Carolina. So what they do is they fund the entire purchase price and the rehab costs, and then they come to me with a cash to close number, kind of like it would be like a down payment, but what they use it for is their first draw and their first payment on the down payment. So they came to me and said, it's going to be about $35,000 to be able to close on this. And I'm thinking, well, shoot, I don't have $35,000 in my pocket, so there goes the beginning of the fundraising. So before I get into that, a little bit more about the house. It's just a 2-bed, 1-bath, 930 square foot. It was purchased on a pretty good-sized lot. So what the seller did was they split the lot, and then they decided to sell the house and try and sell the lot for a lot more. I think it'll sit there for a little bit longer if you ask my opinion. But I was able to get the house at 144, which is pretty much what they were asking for. And running the comparables and just knowing my market, I was able to say, well, you know, my house appraised for 220. It's smaller and definitely doesn't have as much space. So I thought, all right, well, this one can't go for any less than that, and we did the underwriting at the worst possible scenario. Say it's not selling, we need to get rid of it. Let's run the numbers at selling it at 200. So they came back to me and said, hey, this is going to look like after everything is paid off, fees, you're looking at about a $14,000 profit. So I'm like, all right. So keep that number in mind for the end when I talk more about the funding. But, so I'm like, all right, so I got quite a bit of room here. I know it's not going to get appraised for anything less than 220 since we're less than 5 minutes away. And it's got more square footage and a bigger deck and a bigger yard. So all good things there. So we ran the comps, and we're going to be able to list it for about 230 to 235. And I've already talked with the agent. When we're done, we're going to accept anything over 225. So if you're in the Kannapolis area looking for a deal, hit me up. So getting back to the funding part, the hard money lender came back to me and said, hey, this is going to be your cash to close that you have to come to the table with. So it was just about $35,000. That's where I had to start looking. So we're looking for the insurance on the side, and I'm like, well, I'm not even going to look for that until I know I have the money. So reaching through my Rolodex, trying to figure out what would be a good return to give somebody. I settled on the number 20%. And everybody I asked said, hey, dude, that is way, way too high. And I'm like, all right, I don't care because this is going to be my first real deal. So I have to have somebody, that I go to and say, hey, I've done this renovation on my house. I put it all together, ran the numbers, worked with the contractors, and here's my experience. Now, here's what I can do for you, and here's a really good return that I'm going to be able to offer you because of that inexperience. So I settled on 20%. Everybody told me it was high. And then going through the Rolodex, I met a guy staying at his Airbnb who's interested in more Airbnbs. He's like, yeah, I'll do the deal with you. So I was able to come up with the full $35,000 off of one person, just reaching through my contacts. So if you're looking to raise money or struggling to raise money, just look through your phone. There's plenty of ways to get creative about it, but finding the people in your phone that may or may not be interested, just ask them about the investment. You don't have to straight out ask them for money like, hey, I'm doing a flip, I need $35,000, are you interested? That's the wrong way to do it. You need to be able to slowly ease into the conversation and say, hey, this is what I'm planning on doing, this is the house I got locked up right now. What would you think or would be a good return on your money here? It's like, what would have to be an offer that I come to you with and you're like, yeah, that would have to be a no-brainer. And 20% is way out there. So how I got that number is when they came back to me and said, hey, this is going to be your return running it at the worst case scenario. So worst case scenario, I make about $5,000 and my investor, if off whoever invests the $35,000, they get $7,000 back. And then he's got a buddy who's even looking to put in some money himself. So that's going to be 20% on his money too. So, worst case scenario, I'm looking at handing out about $9,000 out of the 14 at the worst case scenario. So if it sells for $225, I already know what I'm giving out. So all I have to do is add that profit onto my numbers. So say I sell it for $25,000, that's another $20,000 on top of what I'm making. So I'm sitting pretty comfortable, and that's a $225 would be even a low number for us to be able to sell it at. But after you include the fees and everything, that's what it's about to come out. So sitting pretty good. And then on the house, when we started walking through it, we're immediately saying, okay, the back needs a little bit of work. After getting the inspection report, the biggest areas are going to be supporting the back deck. So having to not completely redo it, but just adding support, sanding it out, painting, replacing a couple boards and making it look really nice back there. Painting the back of the house, pressure washing the front three sides. And that's just about it for the outsides. And doing a little bit of brickwork on the foundation just to fill in some gaps. So nothing too major. And on the inside, we're going to have to be looking at the electrical box. It's just a little older, but we're pretty sure it still works. So we'll get that tested here pretty soon. And right now getting prices back from the contractors. So you should always have 3 people look at it. Having 3 quotes is going to be very, very easy for you. So because if all 3 of them come back within that ballpark, all you have to do is pick the person that you're most comfortable with. But if they're all coming in on all different sides, then you're going to have to make that judgment call. Because if one comes in really cheap, you're going to have to question it and do a little bit of digging on why that's super cheap, because they might not be doing great work. If it comes in super high, it might be high quality work with high quality products. So for what we're trying to do for this flip, we're just trying to get it to be able to sell quick. So in and out 3 to 4 weeks. So we're not looking for super, super high dollar stuff. We're looking to get in and get out. Hey, what looks nice and not necessarily is the 100% best quality. So we're looking right around in that middle and getting some quotes back on the contractors. But going back to the inside of the house, so we noticed right away it's probably going to have to get or it is going to have to get painted all on the inside, new flooring all the way throughout, carpet in 2 bedrooms, and we have to add a closet to 1 because technically it's listed as a 1-bed, 1-bath. So we're going to add a closet that kind of eats into a little bit of the living room area, so it's not going to take up room in the small bedroom. So you're still going to have a lot of that space in there. For the bathroom, we talked about it today. We think we're not going to completely gut it and move everything around. All we're going to do is keep everything in the same spot and then just make it new. So new shower, probably with tile on the sides, but with the plastic tub, a new small vanity, new toilet, new flooring, paint. So that's all we got to do. For the kitchen, we're going to be, like I said, tearing up the floor on all the way through because it's hardwood under and there's tile on top of it. So we're going to have to tear up that tile and then just we're going to put LVP right over it. So it's all going to look even and nice and not tile here, not LVP here. So it's all going to look fluid. So that's not a huge deal. You can find LVP for about $1 a square foot on Lowe's, and then it's about $3 a square foot to install on the contractor side. So that's how we're able to quote it. And then in the kitchen, it's just a super small area, so we have to add in, probably tear out the cabinets, and we're looking at saving some labor, some money on that side. So there's a right side of the window next to the wall from the sink, and instead of having cabinets there, we're going to take it out because we're going to have to replace them anyway, and we're just going to put about 2 or 3 layers of shelving there. So it's going to look a little bit nicer, and it's going to be a little bit more open, as well as saving me money. And then we're going to wrap it around and put in front of, or on top of the oven, we're going to add the microwave that has the vent on it. And through the pictures, if you saw my TikTok where I did a whole walkthrough of it, where I'll be documenting pretty much everything going on just about every day. I'll be documenting the whole flip to be able to show you guys and talking about it on here just about once a week, where we're at, what we're doing, and how we set up the partnership, which I'll do a later episode on. But for the kitchen, there's no real spot for the fridge, so it's just taking up all the space in the middle. And there is a small closet, and actually, if you tap on the left side of the closet, it's just the closet for bedroom or the back bedroom. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut into the closet in the bedroom, make a spot for the fridge to where we can just slide it in there, which is going to open up the kitchen quite a bit. And it's going to look pretty, or just a lot more open and a little bit nicer. Then we're going to have to redo a little bit of the laundry room area, replace a window, and then it goes back to the deck work. So good thing is, or I guess one of the things is I underran the budget a little bit. So we're already looking at being a little over budget. So we're working on cutting down in some areas to see, all right, where can we save a little bit of money here, a little bit of money there, and getting us closer down to that budget. So next time, I already know, just ask for about $10,000 more than I think, and then we're probably in the ballpark. So if it runs well at that numbers, I'm going to be a lot safer. So if you like this episode, go check out the Figuring It Out Finance podcast on Spotify or Apple. Leave me a review of 5 stars. I'd really appreciate it. Keep listening to the podcast. Go check out the website, figuringitoutfinance.com. Check me out on all the socials, and you can sign up for the newsletter through my Instagram or through the website, which I highly encourage because I'll be giving updates weekly. So that's all I got for today. I'm about to go put up some signs and some cameras up on the property, so I gotta get out here, then I gotta coach tonight and a weekend with my beautiful girlfriend. So that's all I got for this first episode. Keep following along on my journey, and I'll see you then. Looking forward to the next episode. See you.